Yes. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Alright? I know that in the last episode I said too many nice things about the prequels. Yes, I did watch them again. True, they don't hold up as well as I thought. But no, I'm not going to say they sucked. They weren't that bad. I'm not going to be like everyone else. Okay, I get it. We clear now? Okay, can you please shut the hell up? I got stuff to do. Okay, bye. Jesus H. Christ, some people. Hello?
I'm not through with you.
Well, now that that's done, I guess I should get to doing another review. What do I review next? Let's see. Well, I guess the next game I'll be reviewing is Test Drive Off-Road for the PlayStation 1. A game that I don't think a lot of people remember back in the day. In fact, I haven't heard a lot about the Test Drive series in, well, years, actually. A little bit of history, and by a little bit of history, what I barely looked up on the internet. Now, the Test Drive series dates all the way back to 1987. Back then, it was on certain Atari-based consoles and certain PC systems, you know, usual stuff. None of the big fancy home console systems like the Nintendo or Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis. In fact, it didn't come to home consoles like that up until the fourth game, Test Drive 4, which came out for the PlayStation in 1997. From then on, this driving series continued to spawn many different sequels, including a few spin-offs. One of those spin-offs was the Off-Road series, and as you can see, I have the first one in my hands. And the Off-Road series of the Test Drive series went into 4 games. Off-Road 1, 2, 3, and Off-Road Wide Open. The first one came out in 1997. You know, 1997 was a pretty good year for video games. I mean, you had great games like Mega Man X4, Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back, Final Fantasy VII, and not just on the PlayStation. You had great memorable games like GoldenEye 007 and Star Fox 64. Needless to say, though, Test Drive Off-Road is a fucking piece of shit! Why does it suck? Because it's nothing but a regular racer, really. But even at that, it fails to the point of becoming mediocre. I mean, all it really adds is just a few bumps on the track. That's it. Now, I've never played the sequel, so maybe they're better. But I'm not here talking about them, I'm here talking about this, and as far as I'm concerned, this is just a regular, mediocre racer that really has nothing going for it except, you know, a few off-road-ish vehicles and a few bumps in the road, and nothing else. That, among other tiny problems that actually ruin the fun of just a generic run-of-the-mill racing game. To the point where, honestly, I'm not surprised people have forgotten about the series, or at least the spin-off series. Am I talking about it too much? Well, fine. I'll show you some examples. So you start the game, you get to the main menu, and blah blah blah. It's pretty simple, okay? You got practice race, which is just, you can go to a regular race. You got mixed league, which I'll get to, class league, which I'll get to. You get to choose which players, options, load, save. Pretty standard stuff. You don't need to be a genius to figure this crap out. If you go to practice race, you come to one thing that I find stupid about this game. There are only 4 cars! I mean, okay, correct me, okay, you can correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But, and I know I don't know too much about cars. Maybe back then there really weren't that many off-roadish vehicles for racing, but really, you got a Hummer, which is the best car ever, by the way, I don't care what anyone says. You got a Jeep, a Land Rover, and some Chevy pickup truck, and that's it. I mean, 4 cars, really? That's it. I mean, sure, and they differ in speed, acceleration, and handling, but who gives a shit? And what's the deal, really? I mean, look at Test Drive 4, which came out the same year. I mean, sure, that is completely different cars, but at least that has a good amount of cars to choose from. There's a good amount of variety. Here you got 4, and that's it. Oh, you can change their color. Ooh, like that matters. Okay, maybe I'm getting angry for no good reason, okay? This is such a minor thing in the game if you think about it. So you pick your car, and then you pick your track. You start off with a good amount of them. The rest, there are a few others that you have to unlock, but not that they really matter all that much. Now when you start up the game, the controls are pretty simple. X accelerates, square as you go in reverse. Circle is apparently the handbrake, although it doesn't really feel like it works all that much. I mean, if you ask me, it just outright sucks. You also notice, but one nice thing, I guess, you'll notice when you start the game that the graphics are pretty good for 1997, but then you'll also, as you continue to speed through the stage, notice one of the major flaws of this game. The background pops up at the last minute, giving you no time to react. Now, in some of the earlier levels, that isn't so bad. But in some later levels, where there's some sharp turns, it completely fucks you over. I mean, what the hell's the deal? Why? And you may be thinking, oh, it's 1997. It's pretty primitive. But look at Test Drive 4 again, which came out the same year. Yeah, the backgrounds sort of appear out of nowhere as well. But in that game, you get more time. It doesn't just pop up right away and completely screw you over when you're trying to speed through a stage. I mean, 1 minute you'll be going really fast, you'll be in the first place thinking, oh yeah, I'm totally kicking ass. And the next minute, sharp turn! Right out of nowhere! And it totally fucks you over! But with that aside, now I think you can really understand why I say this is just a regular racer. I mean, look at it. You're just racing, that's it. It doesn't add anything. And there aren't any cool jumps or speedways or obstacles. I mean, yeah, there's a few bumps here and there. Ooh, so off-road. The hell? This isn't worth my money. Thank God I didn't actually pay for this. So why am I complaining? The internet, that's why. Another thing that's kind of stupid about this game, and it just comes off as mildly annoying, is that from time after time when you crash, some guy, I don't know, he introduced himself at the beginning, before the game started up, but some guy keeps going, watch out! He never shuts up every time you crash. He's an annoying commentator. Just listen.
Watch out! Awesome! Oh, that's gotta hurt. Watch out! Oh, that's gotta hurt. Watch out! Watch out! Watch out! Awesome! Watch out! Watch out! Oh, that's gotta hurt.
I mean, really, do I care about hearing this guy while I'm trying to race? I mean, I really don't. Unless you're going to have Jim Ross commentate on this, I don't think anyone's going to give a shit or want to hear this guy, and I think everyone's going to think he just comes off as annoying. Another thing that's really odd about this game is that when I was trying to figure out what all the buttons do, I pressed R2, and all of a sudden the game just jump cuts and I'm in what I think is a different location. Turns out, it's a way to get you back to the previous checkpoint. It just happens instantaneously. But you end up going so far back usually, it ends up fucking you over. You'd be better off just flipping over and waiting a few seconds. And it just happens. The game doesn't like fade out and kind of stop time. For example, like in Simpsons Road Rage or Simpsons Hit and Run. You know, if you're stuck in a certain area and you can't get out, you press select, the game will kind of stop and fade out, and it'll give you and it'll put you back in a correct spot. Here, all of a sudden, boom, it just happens. You don't know what the hell just happened, and it usually puts you back at a checkpoint that's God knows how far off. Now, as for the rest of the controls, triangle honks your horn, which is totally necessary. R1 and L1 don't do anything. L2, on the other hand, seems to rotate the camera around your car, which looks cool, sure, but trying to play that way is pointless because it does nothing but completely fuck you over. I mean, am I really going to be playing while watching my car from the side or front view when I can't see shit coming at me? Who the fuck would do this? And select changes view, like from sort of a helicopter's view, first-person view, or a much closer view to the car. That I understand. The rotating the camera, on the other hand, is just meant to look cool. And I'm sure the creators really weren't thinking about how that would actually affect you playing the game. Did I also mention that this is nothing more than just a regular mediocre racer, and that shit just pops out of nowhere due to graphical limitations, even though they were able to do better with the game the same year? Already did say that? Sorry. My bad. Let's continue. Now, continuing through the game, we have the options menu, which is exactly pretty much what you'd think it would be. It's the options menu. There isn't much to say, although there are just a few things I want to point out. Number one, there's a Hall of Fame, like anyone cares. Number two, friction, which game-wise does nothing really. There's a difficulty, and number three, there's damage, which you would think would do something. Like, oh, if your car gets too damaged, it may break down, it won't run properly. But it does nothing but just chip a few parts off your car. It's for show, it does nothing. Then you can go to the control setup, and there's power steering and anti-skid, which from what I've played, pretty much does nothing. I don't know, maybe someone else could see a difference, but no, I don't. It's just there to sound like, ooh, this game really knows what it's talking about in terms of cars, but no, gameplay-wise, it just doesn't do anything. As I said, it's nothing more than a mediocre driver. You see, unlike something as awesome as, say, Test Drive 4 or Test Drive 5, you know, which didn't have shit just pop out right out of nowhere, and which had way more obstacles and way more cars, making them more of standout racers, this game just offers nothing. Nothing at all. Then you got the Mixed League, which is sort of like the tournament mode. There's a bunch of different tournaments that you could enter. Really, as far as I can tell, they're pretty much the same thing. You have to unlock the majority of them. You have to do the King of the Mountain Cup first, which, from what I can tell, is nothing but racing. And I never really had the patience to get through the rest of the game, because I got bored and had better things to do. I mean, really, anything would be better than playing this game. Fucking jerking off is more productive than playing this game. Then you've got the Clash League. You see, where in the Mixed League, you can race any car you want. In the Clash League, you only race, say, Hummers in the Hummer League, Jeeps in the Jeep League, Land Rovers in the Land Rover League, and Chevys in the Chevrolet League. And that's pretty much it. It's trying to add more depth, but really, it just adds absolutely nothing. And going back to the gameplay, seriously, in some of these maps, all of a sudden, I sometimes flip over from just going over a few hills and get completely lost. Really? How is this that hard to design? They designed Test Drive 4, which also was just a racing game, but was a lot more fun and came out the same year. Hell, I played a demo of Test Drive 5, which came out the year after. So much better. How? I don't get lost, I don't go off track, I don't flip over, things don't pop out. It's such a mediocre game. I feel weird complaining about it, to be honest, because nobody seems to remember this shit. I mean, sadly, the Test Drive series, from what I can tell, doesn't seem to be that well known anymore. And some random spin-off from the late 90s you may think is ridiculous to complain about. But really, this is just... game just sucks. I mean... Huh? A Standout Racer, PSX Magazine. A Standout Racer? First of all, that sounds so generic and lame. and the game only has one praise. They probably just made that up. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, I agree. It does stand out. It stands out due to how generic and mediocre the game is. Did I get my point across enough? This game sucks, and it baffles me even more how they were able to release a game the same year, you know, again, Test Drive 4, and it was able to be so much better. More cars, the control better, not getting lost on certain tracks and completely fucking you over. Oh my god, and graphics and things in front of you, not just popping up at the last minute. Okay, I think I've yelled about this mediocre, generic racer enough. Okay, the game, the best thing it's got going for it, the graphics, and that's kind of sad. Oh, wait, you know what? There's one other thing it's got going for it. Using a Hummer. In fact, I feel pissed, though, that a game that uses my favorite car, best fucking car ever, don't ask me why it fucking is. I feel ashamed that a game that puts the best fucking car ever on the cover is just a mediocre racer. I mean, come on. Disgrace to Hummer. It's the best fucking car ever. And no, I don't know that much about cars, so don't fucking leave comments saying like, oh, it's so obsolete now, it's nothing but a big gas guzzler. Well, I got nothing else. And you know, I think this review has gone on a lot shorter than my past two, so I think we've made some progress here. Yep, I think we've made some progress. Okay. So, review's done. No internet weirdos trying to kill me. So, I'll see you later, hopefully in the next review. Goodbye, everyone.
Holy shit! Holy shit!